Well, let's get into Joe Biden's week of absolute nonsense. But before we do that, we have to recap last week's absolute nonsense. When last we left the president last weekend, he had he had said a series of insane things like, hey, there's a forthcoming new world order, and maybe we'll use a chemical weapon in Russia if they do it first. And hey, you U.S. soldiers, when you get there to Ukraine, you're going to see all the awesome Ukrainian courage that I'm talking about. And calling for Putin to be ousted from power as well. And then the White House, of course, walked back several of those claims with clarifications on what the president actually meant, which apparently was the opposite of what he said in each of those cases. Well, this week we got to hear the explanation straight from Joe himself, which is none of those things even happened at all. You just made them up in your head.
If some of these big things that you say on the world stage keep getting walked back.
What's getting walked back?
It sounded like you told U.S. troops they were going to Ukraine. It sounded like you said it was possible the U.S. would use a chemical weapon. And it sounded like you were calling for regime change in Russia. And we know...
None of the three occurred.
None of the three occurred?
None of the three.
Well, that settles that. No more questions. But you can't expect this president to remember things he said just a few days prior, not just because he doesn't have the mental capacity to remember things he said just a few days prior, but because his attention is on much more important things. This week, Joe Biden signed his greatest legislative achievement, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act. On Thursday, Biden said, until now, there's been no federal law against lynching. So I hope you enjoyed all your lynchings, because... that's all over now. You're not getting away with it any longer.
Damn.
Over the years, several federal hate crime laws were enacted, including one I signed last year to combat COVID-19 hate crimes. But no federal law expressly prohibited lynching. None. Until today.
No federal law prohibited tea parties with Bigfoot and unicorns. Until today. I suppose that's not a perfectly fair analogy because it has happened. But as I mentioned, I think on Wednesday, last known lynching in America, Alabama in 1981, outside of our lifetimes by many years.
Yes.
So,
not that many years.
Enough years.
Did Emmett Till really whistle at her?
I don't know the facts of the case. I know that he was the mob accused him of sexual harassment of a white woman and they lynched him. That's about all I know.
Well, did he do it?
Did he whistle? Did he? Questions.
I'm just saying.
Demands answers
now I have to question the narrative on every story I've ever been told.
That's true. We need to get to the bottom of the Emmett Till case.
Hey, the Rosa Parks things turned out to be bullshit.
I've heard people make that, or at least they say that she was a hired activist. It wasn't organic. It wasn't an organic event. I don't know.
Total bullshit.
To your point, I'm reluctant to believe the official story of anything anymore. So
that sucks. That puts so much responsibility on the individual to find their own answers. I wish I could just trust things that I'm told. I'm tired.
Yeah, but we should cherish that responsibility too. That's something that we should do. Regardless, we should all be evaluating material for ourselves, even if we trust the people telling us things. So it's not the worst situation, but hey, someone could tell Joe Biden what you told David Hogg. Murder is illegal in all 50 states, has been for a long time. Maybe. I don't know what you guys are doing over there. But the better question again, in this case, why does there have to be why is there a federal law for such a thing, even if it was happening, which it's not? But crimes committed within a state are that state's jurisdiction, not federal jurisdiction. We don't make certain forms of murder federally illegal just because the federal government doesn't like that kind of murder. Why? Because that would usurp police powers from the state, which we're already doing. But again, you want to trash the 10th Amendment and the constitutional order of power. This is how you do it. It's just, well, this is a really bad kind of murder. So this is federal jurisdiction because reasons. Well, erasing the states and centralizing all the power is apparently the point. We'll get to that later on with more